long ball number 2. MLS is right around the corner, but you know what's even closer? MLS's participation in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. MLS teams join the already underway tournament. 2 games tomorrow involving MLS sides, Sporting Kansas City and Miami, and in Colorado and LAFC tomorrow. We should note before we dig into those matchups, probably the most notable part of the competition up until this part is our Canadian friends, Calgary FC beating Pumas.
Yeah.
That was an absolute shocker. But the conversations surrounding, from what I've seen online so far, surrounding this first level of participation for MLS in the CONCACAF Champions Cup is, will we see one and only Leo Messi play in Kansas City on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't think I have a clear idea about that. I think they're closely watching this in Kansas City, and they've been in the warm-up phase. I know they had a game against Orlando in Tampa, did Inter Miami. They played that wild game out in Vegas. You got kind of, I'm not paying close attention to friendly results in preseason. Like there's a European season happening right now. There's Champions League over there. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the world of football. You have to kind of be maybe MLS fans or fans of these clubs that are very tied into their potential this season are paying attention. Like if you're an Inter Miami fan, you may be paying attention to preseason results. Same thing for Sporting or Colorado or LAFC or whoever else. Real Salt Lake and Seattle also in this tournament, as is Cincinnati. You see them down there. I'm sure all of them are paying attention to their preseason results. I just haven't really is Inter Miami doing X or Y? What is Javier Mascherano doing with his lineup? Like those are the things I've pulled forward here. So I think it's anybody's guess, or certainly I'm not aware of whether or not Lionel Messi is going to have a major role. At the same time, though, of course Inter Miami wants to win that thing. Like, of course they do, right? And they've made their efforts. And I think this is, we got the Club World Cup coming up. Inter Miami got their bid into that, through FIFA's machinations to decide that, you get a spot because you, points. You had the best points. You get in. So that's, there's that too. It'll be a busy season for Inter Miami, just like everybody else. And Lionel Messi is not a spring chicken. So I do think that that's interesting. You mentioned cavalry. Let's make sure I think I got dinged for a mispronunciation last time because I said Calvary instead of cavalry. Yes, I know that's okay. The Canadian side, based in Calgary. Cavalry is based in Calgary. Why do they make it so hard on us, the Canadians? Beating Pumas. Pumas rolled out like a very young squad. That was not the best team Pumas could put out. They played that game in British Columbia because it was too damn cold, or the stadium does not meet requirements up in Calgary. So Calvary had to do it away from home, sort of, in a small venue there in BC, but they get the job done. We had, you see the other results, by the way. Monterrey beat Forge. That's not a surprise. Cruz Azul got a 2-0 win in their first leg. Real Esteli beating Tigres. Now, Tigres will go back home to Monterrey and probably crush Real Esteli. I really have no doubts about that. Cibao, I believe that is a Dominican team. I watched a little bit of that game, actually. For the Dominican Republic, it looked like you would expect it to look from the Dominican Republic. And they drew at Guadalajara. That's a interesting results. Again, going back to Guadalajara, they'll probably get crushed. I don't like that we've got MLS versus MLS at this stage. I would prefer we didn't. It bothers me that we got, 2 matchups of MLS versus MLS? But Real Salt Lake has Herediano of Costa Rica. You have Seattle with Antigua. And then Cincinnati will face off Motagua. Motagua's, I think, Honduran. So, yeah, Vancouver. I forgot about the Whitecaps. They're the Canadian champions. So they get Deportivo Saprissa of Costa Rica as well.
How could you possibly forget Vancouver, Jason?
I know. I forgot about the Caps. I got to remember the Caps.
Yeah, remember the Caps. And then Colorado taking on LAFC as well. Interesting, Tom Bogert and others reporting that LAFC is closing in on Turkish international Unger, who rose to prominence, I think, for Roma and then is in Turkey. That would be quite the pull for MLS side. 27-year-old international, played at the top levels in Europe. That would be a very exciting addition to the MLS side. Shout outs to the chat. Ronnie, thanks for jumping aboard. We got you in the chat. Thank you so much for the kind words. And then Scott, he's got a question about Pro Rel in the USL, and we will come to that in
Yes.
just a few.